Hello, everyone. My name is Asaiel Alohaly, and I'm a PhD student on her third year at the University of Reading at the School of Law. And I'm really delighted to be presenting part of my project and also sharing some of the insights in this conference where there is an absolutely brilliant lineup of speakers from across academia. And I won't spend too much time introducing the topic, but as you can see that the title is the state corporate governance of hybrid companies. Aramco is the case study of this poster. To kick off this presentation, we can see that there is an increasing presence of state-owned enterprise, or what is known also as SOEs. And many of these companies have shifted from being national companies to listed companies. And this shift is seen as a transition from centrally planned market to a market economy. These companies are known as as modern state-controlled companies. A good example is Equinor, Petrobras, NBCL, and Aramco. These companies are known to be hybrid in the literature, in the corporate governance literature, although the literature on this is limited, and I'm expanding this with other scholars and researchers. These companies are previously national bodies that have been privatized or partially privatized, where the government retains significant control. And if we want to understand the meaning of the significant control or the mechanisms of the government control in hybrid companies, we would talk about two mechanisms. The first mechanism is through ownership. So the government holds a significant shareholding, and this gives the government a voting power due to the number of shares the government possesses. The second mechanism is through its position as a controlling shareholder, and this is granted to the government through the bylaws of the company. So the bylaws gives the government more rights, gives the government more power, for example, to approve related party transaction, to remove the chairperson, and so on. And if I think of a better example to crystallize the power and the supernatural, control in these hybrid companies, we would think, on the other hand, of private companies where there is, for example, a dual class, where, for example, there is non-voting shares. This allows the founders basically to retain control in the companies even after being listed. So coming back to our subject, our topic, in the present poster, the focus will be on Aramco, which is a fully integrated global company in Saudi Arabia that did not materialize out of a vacuum based on its rich history. And the IPO of Aramco paved so many roads of criticism due to political, environmental, valuation concerns, and the economy of Saudi let's say is driven and planned by the government. So this also is considered as one of the meanings of capitalism. And state capitalism is a popular choice among so many economies, and this can, for example, be seen in China, Russia, Brazil, for example, and also Aramco is well known as the octopus because of its revenue, the company expansion, the company operation, and other reasons that for limited space and time in this presentation, I wouldn't be able to expand further. So the main question would be, what is the importance of Aramco as a case study in corporate governance? Company like Aramco or hybrid companies in general, where the government is either a controlling shareholder or a block holder, the arrangement of corporate governance in these companies is the state model, and the corporate governance is designed in a way that helps the government to retain and maintain its power. So exploring the state model of Aramco as a model of corporate governance redraws the boundaries of traditional corporate governance framework. And to elaborate more on this, we can see that the corporate governance literature is heavily divided into two main models, the shareholder model and the stakeholder models. And these two models are not necessarily applicable to all companies, given that the goals of the companies are different, the ownership structure is different, the control pattern is different, and so on. And the importance of doing research on this model, the state model, it grows because we can see that in the ecosystem, which can be defined as the existing market where there are so many hybrid companies, as mentioned at the introduction, like Aramco, Petrobras, Equinor, and so many other companies. These companies do exist in the market and they do operate, and the corporate governance arrangement is the state model, whereas the literature heavily divides the corporate governance world into two models only, ignoring a third model. We can see that the OECD and the World Bank has recognized the state model. So in light of this gap, I'm trying to close this gap by exploring the state model and connecting and rooting this model to existing literature and to main corporate governance theories. And coming back to Aramco and the importance and the significance of the studying the corporate governance of Aramco and corporate governance, and on Aramco as well, we can see that the IPO will definitely improve the legal conditions as Aramco has been under a global microscope. Secondly, the benefits and the interest of the IPO would attract influential investors or institutional investors, especially those who are interested in holding large shares or in holding shares in giant large companies such as Aramco or such as the holding of Google and Uber. Finally, it would offer more benefits on heightening transparency of and disclosure and requirements of listing rules and the enforcement system in the country. And if Saudi Arabia and with the listing of Aramco and the capital market laws being responsive to a huge and big IPO like Aramco, this means that Tadawul, which is the Saudi stock exchange market, is a good destination for future IPOs, whether in the GCC region or in global in general. As you know, the IPO means there is a particular knowledge has been achieved through this IPO. And after explaining the importance of Aramco on both corporate governance literature and also on the Saudi stock exchange market, we move to the research questions. So the first main research question would be, what is the corporate governance of Aramco? And what are the implications of this case study on corporate governance literature and practice, namely OECD and the World Bank? By this study, hopefully, I aim to examine the concept of hybrid companies and the state model. And by examining this concept, this study seeks to solidify a better understanding of the corporate governance of state-controlled companies. And secondly, since shareholder value is missed in this corporate governance arrangement, it will be crucial to understand and navigate deeper into the interconnection between power, control, ownership, and the goals of hybrid companies, since they are not run for the maximization of shareholders. And finally, this study seeks to investigate to what extent the state model should replace the other models. And here I'm talking about the shareholder and stakeholder model. Or should the state model be replaced by them? The potential outcomes of the project will be three main outcomes: bridging a gap between the literature and the ecosystem or practice is one potential outcome. The second potential outcome is extending literature on hybrid companies, as there is really limited research on this. And by exploring the state model and the possible issues such as power abuse, maybe this like investor might be discouraged to invest, there will be more regulatory responses that might mitigate such issues and concerns. And there are so many good examples in the world where there are regulations that have addressed companies where the government retains control, or where there is a private investor controlling the company. So we have a higher and more requirements on these companies, or they may be listed in a different stock exchange market. So we have, for example, the secondary, the primary, the premium, etc. So companies where the government, or there is like a special shareholder with the supernatural power, that they are listed in a different index and a different stock exchange market. By this, I can say that I have finished my presentation, and I hope that I presented the topic clearly. And please do contact me through my email, which can be seen in the contact information box. If you have any question or any comment, this would be highly appreciated. Thank you again for the conference and for the audience for your time. Thank you so much indeed.